It's Warren. Today I want to talk a bit about imposter syndrome, since it's something I've been dealing with and struggling with, I think, extensively in the past few days. And I think most people who get into any university that is worth a dime experiences. I was just talking about this with one of my friends who got into Princeton. She said that it just seems like everyone there is so smart, so intelligent, so hardworking, is so incredible in their unique ways that she just doesn't feel like she belongs there. It seems like everyone else is better than her. To a certain extent, that's what I felt in the first few days. And it made me much more anxious and sad and isolated than how I was before I was accepted into Harvard and had all those celebrations and congratulations from parents, from friends, from other parents, younger kids in school, and then asking me for advices, sending me gifts to ask them for advices, and just adding a ton of different Harvard people, researching sort of into all the great things that Harvard has, and just generally, despite being so lucky and blessed in having this remarkable opportunity, I felt much worse than before. And I think it's due to this imposter syndrome, and I think also coupled with the isolation you get when you imagine that you're going to go into a completely new environment with completely new people, and all of your best friends in college, or your girlfriends, or your boyfriends, your girlfriends and boyfriends, etc., are just going to leave you, and it's a very disorientating time. I've sort of gotten out of or solved my imposter syndrome with a few techniques, and I just want to share with you so you don't feel too bad. And also, it's just a video saying that, look, everyone has this thing. Everyone has imposter syndrome. No one's perfect. We see our flaws more than what we're really good at, and that's why a lot of us develop this syndrome. So I guess I'll just jump right into how I dealt with imposter syndrome and what really got me out of the slump that I was in for a few days after I got accepted into Harvard. The first thing that I found really, really useful is just to try to acknowledge all the fears and anxieties that I have about going to college, leaving my familiar environment, going to this place filled with just brilliant people who are all, I guess, top of the food chain in terms of study ability and extracurriculars, and just mingling with them and coming into terms with my own inadequacies in a lot of different places. And so I took a notebook. Wait, I'll just get that notebook. Wait a sec. Here. And as you can see, I've just been writing a ton of stuff in the notebook about all my fears and anxieties surrounding college, acknowledging them. And it has really been a lifesaver because I think by articulating and specifying what my anxieties are, they become much more manageable and much more scary too, because rather than just having this white blob, amorphous blob of anxiety in my head, now I have sort of concrete stuff that I'm scared about. And once it becomes concrete stuff that you're scared about, it's not really scary anymore. Since when you really put down what you're anxious about into words, you realize, well, it's not really a big deal, and there's always answers and solutions to those fears and problems, which you wouldn't be able to give yourself if you haven't articulated them out. So I think a good thing is just to take out a notebook, maybe use Notes app on your laptop, and just write down everything you're feeling. If you're feeling scared and anxious, and just by writing them down, you'll feel a lot better. The second thing I did was to reach out to my best friends and to talk about my insecurities. And so I think I just text one of my friends, like, I'm really just really scared. I'm feeling very anxious recently after getting to Harvard, and detailing my problems. And I think just having someone listening to your problems and to express your anxiety out loud to someone else, you suddenly realize that you're actually not alone, and there are people whom you love and trust that you can reach out to, even when you may be miles apart from them, since you're not going to go into the same school. And I guess it's by reaching out to your friends, to your family, to your support structure, and don't be afraid to express of your anxieties and fears, because I think they all listen very intensely, and they all understand how strange a situation you're going in sort of this. I think one of the periods of fastest growth in your life and fastest change, when you're moving from the just cozy high school world to the completely different college world where you're about to become an adult, and just talking with other people about what you're afraid of. And then I think you'll realize that you're not actually alone in this world. And there are people who genuinely care about you. So you don't really have to be afraid, even if you're going into a new environment, even if you don't know any of the people there, even if you haven't got any friend who got into Harvard, because you got people who care about you, and you're not alone. And it will be fine. Everything will be fine. And at least that's how I felt when I talked with my friend. In fact, I think we talked for 5 hours. So it was a random text that I sent at 11 before I slept. And then we just kept on talking until 4 in the morning. And although I didn't get a lot of sleep that day, I just felt so much better when I woke up. Even better than last day when I had like 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Just because I got all the latent anxiety out of me, and I felt so loved and cared for. And I think that's the antidote to anxiety and fear. This being loved and not being alone. Third thing is that I reached out to other Harvard students and talked about my insecurities. First, I think it's a very good way to really quickly become friends with another person. Just talking about your own fears, talking about things that you're afraid of, talking about what you're not good at, talking about how other people look so much better and so well prepared and so socially capable, having all of these, I think, business grade profile pics on their social media compared with me, who who has no idea how to socialize with people and who's just basically a hermit who sits in his room reading for 12 hours every single day and haven't really talked with a human being face to face for like 2 full years because of the COVID situation. And once you get the whole thing out, first you just become so much closer with people that you're talking to, and and you feel much less afraid because there's someone you can rely on who are going to be there and with you in the next 4 years. But also you realize when you're talking with them that they have the exact same fears. For example, my fear of not knowing what I'm going to concentrate on, not knowing what I'm going to study when I get into university. Almost everyone else shares that. And they're all like, oh, me too. I don't know what concentration I want to go in. And if I'm studying the humanities, I'm also afraid that I won't get a job and I won't get employed and I'm going to live on the streets and just like die by the age of 30. So just doing this again, I think by revealing your insecurities, it's a great way to first make friends, so you feel less alone when you're going to university, and the place becomes less fearful. But also to realize that you are really not alone in your imposter syndrome, and everyone feels the same way. And once you realize that, I think realize it deep in your bones after talking with a lot of other people from your prospective colleges. For me, it's Harvard. Then you realize, well, this is a normal thing, and I can beat it. Because there's so many people who have experienced the same thing as me, and they have beat it, and they have become wonderful, marvelous human beings. Fourth, which I think is probably the most important advice that I'm giving here, because it doesn't only apply to beating imposter syndrome, but applies to just, I guess, planning your life and thinking about how you're going to live your next 4 years in college. So what I did was I sat down and I really just asked myself for maybe half an hour about what my specific strengths are, what I am really good at, what skills or sets of skills differentiates me from other Harvard students. What am I uniquely good at? Not only good, but uniquely good, better than other people. Or even if it's not one skill, maybe a combination of things. What is my niche that I'm going to explore in Harvard? It was being simultaneously willing to read really hard and abstruse philosophical books, whilst also being very interested in more concrete issues and being able to sort of bridge the two sides of the really abstract and the really hard to the really concrete, that I think is my niche and my specialty inside Harvard. And basically once I realized that there's one place where I am better than other Harvard students, then I felt like I really belonged inside the community, because other people had their strengths. Sure, they're all wonderful math students. Some of them know like 20 languages. They know sort of the history of, I don't know, ancient Greek inside out. They can do, they can write wonderful drama pieces. And I can also do something wonderful, even if it's not as glamorous as what they do. There's one thing that I am better than every other student, one thing that I can contribute to the entire community. And once I realized that there is something really that I am off use of, that I can contribute to other people, then I realized I'm really not a superfluous person inside the community, but I am important and I can do something for it. Then the imposter syndrome sort of just went away, because I realized, well, I am not an imposter. I have a role, I have a strength, I can do something. And I felt much calmer, much more relaxed, and really I felt now, after going through all these steps and struggling with my imposter syndrome, I felt even more motivated and more excited to go to college, and wanted to learn more and to experience more than I ever had before. And I don't think I would have felt this if I haven't struggled first with the whole imposter syndrome and the whole sort of identity crisis that's related to being accepted into an elite institution. So in this sense, I think the last thing one has to think of when dealing with imposter syndrome is to realize that it's really an opportunity. It's an opportunity to have a deep dive into yourself and to realize what you're really good at, what your unique strengths are, what your future should be like, and how you're going to live your life. It's an opportunity for you to rethink your life and find a place within the world, compared to just a syndrome that makes you anxious and depressed. It is within this sort of anxiety and depression that you start to find your way again, and you start to build your life for the future. So the last tip is, after doing all of these concrete actions, realize imposter syndrome is not a problem. It is an opportunity, and treat it like an opportunity. Then you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. You're wonderful. See you.